Hi guys! So I wanted to explain the time capsule to you guys. So if you remember on Monday, your first activity was to either draw a picture of what you've been up to lately, considering that we can't go to school and we can't do the normal things that we've been doing, and then tell me on the computer, so like typing out what that picture was about. So some people did that for me. And then your second option was to find a newspaper clipping. So what that means is you've just cut out part of a newspaper where it talks about what's been going on lately. But I know that they discontinued newspapers, so I know that not everybody has one. So that's why there was two options. So for me, I did the newspaper clipping, which I found the newspaper in our recycling, by the way, but I still used it. So this article has to do with what's happening right now because it was this lady's 100th birthday, so she turned 100 years old, but she couldn't go anywhere or see her family, and people couldn't come visit her to celebrate because of the virus. So what they did instead is they had a parade of cars in Winkler. So she sat outside, and then there was a parade of cars that drove through, and they were probably honking and waving and wishing her a happy birthday. So this would have been my first item to go in my time capsule. So I'll put that aside. The second was to write a journal entry. So a journal entry can kind of be like a letter to yourself or like a diary that you write in. So I asked for a paragraph. For me, I wrote a page. So this is what my letter to myself looks like. And I called it Dear Future Self. Because again, a time capsule is something that you open in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. It's really up to you. So this is what I wrote. I wrote, I'm writing this letter to myself as a part of a time capsule project for Miss Almendinger's grade 5 class for ELA. We're doing this. We're supposed to write about how we were doing during this pandemic. For me, this is not the first virus outbreak because I remember being vaccinated for the swine flu called H1N1. It happened about 10 years ago. The flu started in April, and by September, there was already a vaccine. I looked this up today because I'm hoping there will be a vaccine for the coronavirus known as COVID-19. However, this virus is more serious, so it's hard to know how long it will take to make a successful vaccine. To keep my days busy, I plan for my classes and I work at school and sometimes from home. Actually, I work from home more than I go to school. After school, I go for walks with Mrs. Weeb, who I live with. Sometimes I call Miss Verrier, and we talk about house, school, or about our lives. The hardest part about the virus for me is not seeing my sister, brother, parents, or nieces and nephews. My mom has to stay inside because she's being treated for cancer, and that makes her more vulnerable to the virus. But I know she will be better soon, and I'm hopeful that there will be a vaccine soon too. So that's my letter to myself. And then on the back, I also asked you guys to write down your favorite things. And you could have typed that in, or you could have taken a picture of this letter. Or not the letter, but the paper. And sent it to me, just as to show that you did it. So for my favorite color, I put dark red. My favorite food is spaghetti. My favorite show is called Friends. My favorite movie is called Into the Wild. My favorite book is the Hunger Games series. My favorite activity is going for a run. My favorite place is my couch with my cat. My favorite song is Dance Monkey. My favorite animal is a cat. My favorite person is my sister. My favorite game is called Sequence. And my favorite part about being at home is having a roommate. I think I'm pretty lucky that I have a roommate so that I wasn't alone for 2 months. And then I did also draw a picture. And it is me and Mrs. Weeb going for me and Miss Weeb going for a walk. And then I also drew my cat because we tried taking my cat outside on a leash a few weeks ago. And he did not like it. He actually escaped out of his leash. So now here are my two things for my time capsule. Now this is day number 3, and it's also the last day for our time capsule. So you can bury it on day number 3, or you could do that on Friday. So today's Thursday. So for day number 3, you have to find some items that represent this year for you. And it could be something that brings up positive memories or something that reminds you of the year. So because of the pandemic and everyone rushing out to buy toilet paper because people were panicking about being out of toilet paper, I'm putting a toilet paper roll in my time capsule. So another thing that I'm going to put in my time capsule is this dream catcher that we made in social studies. I'm also going to put this reading log. So I chose one at random, and I'm putting Micah's reading log because it brings positive memories of you guys doing lots of reading, even if you didn't fill out your reading log. I know that we did lots of reading together in English this year. And I'm putting my letter to myself, of course. My newspaper clipping. And the picture of our class that we took in the winter. So that will always remind me of teaching grade 5 this year. So what I'm going to do with all those items is put them in a plastic bag. So that's important because if you're going to bury your time capsule, you want it to be waterproof. So I will take all my items. And you want to make sure you zip it up tight. So that's it. That's my time capsule. Now, this isn't totally waterproof. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But just to make sure, you could put it in another container. So you could put it in a pop bottle. Of course, mine is too big to fit in a pop bottle, but maybe yours wouldn't be. Something else that you could do is put it in a waterproof container. So if I were to bury mine, I could put it in this container, and then to make it even more waterproof, I could put it in a bag. And then I could bury that. So I actually can't bury mine because I might be moving. And even if I wasn't, we don't own this house, we just rent it, so we can't dig in the backyard. So what I'm going to do, and what you could do if you don't want to bury something in your backyard, is to just take your items and find a different container. So for example, I've had this box here since I was little, and I used to keep important things in it, but now I just keep some office supplies in it, like sticky notes and a calculator. But I don't look in it very often. And when I was younger, I kept it under my bed. So I could put this in here and then put it back either under my bed or anywhere else in my room. And because I don't look in here very often, I'll probably forget about it for a little while until I either move or rearrange my room or decide to declutter some stuff. And then when I decide to look in it again and open up all the things, it will remind me of this time that we had in our lives. And it's a pretty interesting and different time for a lot of people because some people have experienced flus and viruses before. So like me, for example, when I was in university and there was a swine flu, but again, that wasn't as serious. So it's a pretty big deal, and it might be something that you guys can remember in a year or 2 or 5 years from now. And you can read that letter to yourself and look at the list of your favorite things, and you're going to be very surprised at how much you've changed, even in just a year or even in just a few months. So your task for today was to find at least 2 or 3 items to put in your time capsule as well. And then you're going to write to me what those items are and why you decided to put them in there. So I'm looking forward to reading about that. And you can also let me know in the class chat if you decided to bury your time capsule or if you decided to just put it in a box in your room somewhere. Okay, thanks for doing the project, guys. Bye.